Hi guys, Livia here, and today I'm going to show you how I prime my canvas, even though it comes pre-primed from the manufacturer. I'm also going to show you how I prime a wooden panel. And the reason that I like priming my canvas is because I like creating some interesting brush marks on the canvas, on the surface that I'm going to paint on. And I do that from this early stage, before I put any paint on the canvas. This texture can still be seen through the paint film after the painting is complete. I do that way because I like the painterly looks approach, and this supports my brush work. In the past, I used to prime the canvas smoothly, but these days I do it differently. Priming also creates a better tooth on the surface I'll paint on, and it gives me more brush control when I'm applying the paint on it. So if you'd like to see how you can improve the surface of your canvas and how to achieve a more painterly texture that will show through your painting, check this out. I use a high quality canvas. It's hand stretched and it's made in New Zealand, and it just suits me well. And they ship to me and I can just get started. So what I do, I cover the table. It's easier with the cleanup later on. So then I use gesso primer. This one is the Winsor Newton gesso primer, and a large brush, like a pastry sort of brush, and it's made for painting, but it looks like those pastry brush that we have in the kitchen. So I use that one, that's around 3 inches. It depends on the size of the canvas. If it's just a small canvas, I use a smaller one. I like that brush because it's a hog bristle brush, and it just creates interesting brush marks on the canvas. That's why I use that one. It's a lot about the brush marks. So as the canvas comes pre-primed already, I just apply one layer of this primer. It just improves the absorbency, but also it gives me the texture that I like. I also prime the edges of the canvas. That's about it. So now I'm going to show you how to prime a wooden panel. These are the panels that I like using, especially for my palette knife work. Firstly, I check just to see if there are any imperfections or any lumps on the panel. Then I use a very fine sandpaper, and it's the P220, and I just slightly sand the panel in its sides as well. That also makes the primer stick to the board more easily. Then after that, I use a brush just to take that dust away. Then I use GEC 100. It's an acrylic primer and it's made by Golden. I apply 2 coats of this primer to the painting support. So basically it just stops the paint or whatever I use on the panel, liquids, mediums, anything. It stops it from going into the wood and damaging the support. That's what it does. So then I let it dry, and the next day I apply the gesso primer. So again, as I'm going from scratch here with the priming of the support, I apply a few coats of this primer, gesso primer. It's a little bit more labor in comparison to a canvas, but it's worth it. The support is harder, it's firmer, and if you're working with a palette knife, it's the best. It's the best support we can get. So I apply, the gesso, then I just sand it a little bit after it dries, and I apply another layer. So see the next layer goes, and it looks whiter. It just covers the panel well because we have that base already and that first coat. I also apply a couple of coats of gesso primer to the sides of the panel, and then I paint the sides of either canvas or panel with acrylic black paint. It gives it a nice finish and very neat look when it's up on the wall. Before I show you the next step, I'd like to show you this way here. If you want to have a smooth finish on a canvas, when you're applying your gesso primer, you can use this sort of tool. I got this from a hardware store. It's a plastic spreader. That's what I used to use in the past. But nowadays I'm using the brush, you know why. But if you like a smooth finish, this is a must-have tool. It's very, very useful. So then the next step for me, and just going a little bit further, you know, after the priming, it's to tone the canvas or the panel. When I brush this color on the panel or canvas, you can actually see the texture coming through, you know, from that priming stage. You can see brush marks already being shown through the paint, and that's something that I really like, you know, seeing that brush mark, that painterly look from that very beginning. I use either burnt sienna. These days I'm using mostly burnt umber, and I sometimes yellow ochre. This one is burnt sienna, and I thin the paint down. That's acrylic paint. So I spray the canvas or the panel. I squirt a little bit of paint, acrylic paint, and then I spread it with either a brush or a sponge. And I spread that paint all over the canvas. Just creates a sort of a translucent look. It's more like a wash, and it's a good way to start, so that way you avoid painting on a white canvas. It's easier to cover the canvas. You don't have to worry about covering little bits of white when you're painting. The brush sometimes doesn't go easily with oil paint there, so if some of this color here is left, it's fine because it's the color, it's part of the painting. And this color harmonizes my painting in the end as well, because actually I like missing a few areas, and that this brown will just show throughout little areas of the canvas. So that's how I prepare my canvas before I draw it. So then I draw on top of it, and then that's the painting. Yay! So that was painted with the palette knife. In this one as well, I'm just working on a series of paintings painted with the palette knife just to create more texture and make it even more painterly. Some of them I'll have a go with a bit of brushwork, but mostly with the palette knife. All the pictures will be just entirely with the knife, like this one that was painted with a couple of palette knives. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson and that it can be useful for you to create beautiful painterly paintings. Please let me know in the comments below if you would like me to create videos talking about my palette knife technique, texture, application, blending, and a lot of things related to it. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you'd like to learn more about painting, please check my other videos. I have lots of videos about color mixing and all the cool stuff in my channel. If you're considering subscribing, remember to tap the notifications bell to know when I post a new video. For more in-depth tutorials, please check my courses page on my website. The link is in the description area below this video. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook and see what I've been doing, what sort of paintings I'm creating at the moment, because you can get more real-time information there. So if you'd like to see what I've been painting, just go and check it out. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Happy painting!